Hello, my name is Violet. For this poster, we were, for our cell biology class, we had to make a poster about a pathway map for a drug of our choosing. And so for this project, I chose to do the drug Alendronate, which is a drug that's very commonly used for treating osteoporosis and other diseases that weaken bones. So for this pathway map, I chose Alendronate because I'm just interested in bones. I plan on going into physical therapy or some like field. And so this was just a very interesting drug because it's very common and a lot of the population, the older population, uses drugs like Alendronate. Alendronate is in the class of bisphosphonates, which are all drugs that help inhibit osteoclasts, which are the cells that break down bones. And these drugs they slow down the amount of bone that's broken down. And then the osteoblasts can lay down more bone and keep people's bones stronger and prevent them from fracturing. About 10 million people in the US alone have osteoporosis and diseases that break down their bones. So these drugs are very important because they can decrease greatly the amount of fractures that this population has to go through. Especially hip fractures can take a lot out of people's lives and affect them and their families greatly. So these drugs are pretty important. They were discovered probably a few decades ago, and since then they've been pretty widely used. So Alendronate, when you take this drug, you obviously ingest it in or it gets into your body and it'll actually go to the bone. So it'll be inside of the bone matrix, as you can see here. The Alendronate is in there. Before we go into that though, a normal osteoclast, what it does is it breaks down bones. Here you can see the little bit of red that I drew to say that it's degrading the bone. And so this cell, if you zoom in, is taking part in this, it takes part in this pathway to degrade the bone. So GPP, which is geranyl pyrophosphate, uses the enzyme farnesyl pyrophosphate as the enzyme to activate farnesyl pyrophosphate synthase. And we aren't really clear about what this next step is, but whether it activates or inhibits Rho, which is a GTPase. And so this will go to the endoplasmic reticulum and it will make and activate proteasome formation. And the proteasomes are just these little dots that are represented here. They're the little part of the cell that binds to the bone and makes sure that it can start degrading and has like a firm platform so that it can dissolve the bone matrix. So that's how a normal osteoclast functions. But in the presence of Alendronate, this process is inhibited. As you can see here, it is unable to bind to the bone and degrade it. So the way this happens is that Alendronate here is in the matrix, like I said, and it comes in. We're not really sure how. Researchers haven't quite discovered that yet, but possibly by a vesicle, it goes into the cell. And if we're gonna zoom in here, when Alendronate is in the osteoclast cell, it binds to the FPPS, farnesyl pyrophosphate synthase. It actually, since it binds to it, inhibits it, and then GPP is not allowed to activate FPP. So then, since FPP, farnesyl pyrophosphate, is not activated, it won't activate or deactivate rho, since we don't know what this step is. And ultimately, there are no protosomes formed, as you can see here. It's just representing that they aren't formed. Usually they would be along here. So once they're not formed, again, the protosomes are not there to attach the osteoclast to the bone matrix, and it cannot degrade the bones and bone matrix. And so we were also supposed to have a research question about a topic we are choosing. And the one I chose to do was, does alendronate get absorbed into aortic valve bioprosthetics in humans? So these aortic valve bioprosthetics are just a replacement valve in the heart using pig or cow aortic valves. And so they're put into people, and they often get calcified. So since these are really good valves, the main drawback is that they calcify in the heart and they have to be replaced. So if we can find drugs that are able to go into this aortic valve, then we can stop the calcification. So first we just need to know whether alendronate is absorbed into these aortic valve bioprosthetics. So that's what my research question is on. Thank you.